We are doing transformations part 2. Ready? So we're going to be talking about what happens to a function when you multiply it on the outside, when you multiply it on the inside, and then when we're all done, we're going to put all of the transformations that we've learned together to do one massive transformation. Okay? Let's do some math. So I printed this slide for you here. Pay attention now. Just take the pass and put your name. All right. So here we go. We have a times f of x. Okay? When you have a times f of x, what that's going to do is it's going to stretch your graph vertically. Vertically. Okay? If the a is greater than 1. So for instance, what's the absolute value of 2?
Yes.
2. Is that greater than 1?
Yes.
Then that number would stretch your graph vertically. What's the absolute value of negative 2?
2.
It's 2 also. Is 2 greater than 1?
Yes.
Then it will stretch your graph vertically. So it doesn't matter whether it's positive or negative. It matters if that number greater than 1. Now if that number's the absolute value is less than 1, then that's going to compress your graph vertically. It's going to smash it. Okay? So, for instance, give me a number that has an absolute value that's less than 1. 0. 0.5. You guys agree that both of those have an absolute value that's less than 1? There you go. So, in other words, fractions, kind of, right? So long as, like, this fraction would be good, like 2/3. 2/3 is about 0.6666666. That's less than 1. But if you flip this over, you guys are aware that's bigger than 1, right?
But isn't it like the absolute value of the negative is positive?
Yeah.
And then the absolute value of the positive is positive, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, but
So the absolute value of positive is still positive.
why'd you put 1 though?
That's from here.
Oh, I'm
So-
sorry. I'm sorry.
So what it is basically is 1's kind of like our starting point. If it's greater than 1 after you take the absolute value, it stretches it. If it's less than 1 after you take the absolute value, it compresses it. Okay? Now, let's be a little bit more specific. When it's outside the parentheses, it's vertical, right? So that means it affects the y variable. So what we're going to do here is you guys want to write this down because it's not on the paper. You want to multiply the y values by a. Okay? So when you have a number on the outside of your parentheses multiplying the f, that means you're multiplying the y values by whatever that number is. So every y value, like if you guys had this, every y value gets multiplied by 2. Okay? That's what that means.
What is that? By what?
Multiply the y values by a. Multiply the y values. All right. So,
Wait.
and you guys you'll see why they result in stretches and compressions because of that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one here. So let me ask my first question here. My first question is number 1. Is that going to be a vertical stretch or a vertical compression? Raise your hand and tell me. Nobody knows? Yes? For number 1, would that be a vertical stretch of f or a vertical compression? Is it going to stretch it or is it going to compress it?
A vertical stretch.
How do you know it's a vertical stretch?
Because it's the number next to f of x is over 1.
There you go. Because that number, if you take the absolute value of it, what is it? 2, and that's greater than 1, so it's going to stretch it. All right, now let's do that on our graph. We're going to multiply all of our y values by 2. So here we go. What's the y value here?
I need to go inside and call.
4.
So what's 4 times 2? Raise it up to 8. Okay? What's the y value here?
Are you lying?
0.
Find out.
You guys agree the y value here is 0, right? What's 0 times 2?
0.
It doesn't change.
Somebody said 4.
How about here? Connect your dots. Does it look like it's been stretched vertically like Nathaniel said it would be? There you go.
What? That's crazy. Wait, what?
You multiply the y values by 2.
Why
You guys
did we
ready?
why did we start at 1? Oh, is that just the starting point?
Why do we always compare it to 1?
Oh, I'm sorry. See, I forgot when we do this one. There's already a little thingy, and we just have to do the other.
All right, let's go into number 2. Okay,
What?
once again,
Isn't it like up 1 across 2 or something?
no, you're thinking of slope. I know what you're thinking of. No, this isn't slope. Let me get Nathaniel's point for you any further. Okay, so no, it's not a slope. This is a multiplier, and it's going to either stretch or compress our graph. So my question is going to be this then. So raise your hand. Great. Is this a stretch or a compression? Yes. How do you know it's a compression, Nelson? Because it's less than 1. The absolute value of a half is less than 1. So this is going to be a compression. Right? Now we're going to multiply all of our y values by 1/2. Okay? Now if you need to use your calculators for this, then you might want to have out your phones, okay? Or you can use one of my blue ones. But here we go. What is the y value for this point? 4. So we're going to do 4 times 1/2. Does anybody know the answer? 2. Notice the number gets smaller. What's the y value here? What's 0 times 1/2? Doesn't change. Doesn't change. It looks like it got vertically compressed, right? Now, if you guys need to use a calculator for this, that's fine. Okay, but it's 4 times 1/2, and it should come out to be 2. Bueno? All right, let's go ahead and do number 3. Let's go ahead and do number 3. You guys are writing these down in your notes as we go, right? All right. So, who was those? No. Okay. So, I want a new person now. Is this a stretch or a compression, Joanna? Why is that a stretch? That's right. This number, if you take the absolute value of it, is greater than 1. Okay? So now we're going to multiply all of our y values by what? 3 over 2. So, what's my y value here? And what's 4 times 3/2? Now, if you need your calculator, use your calculator. What is it? It is 6. Now, if you need your calculator, that's fine, but just make sure you get it. 4 times 3/2 is 6. So this is going to go up to 6. And anything times 0 is going to be, that's not changing, right? So that is a stretch. It's just less of a stretch than our first one because this is less of a number than our first one. Okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at number 4. Number 4.
How do you write this one perfect?
It's just part of who I am.
Mine are very, 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 very.
That's not part of who you are.
I'm still trying to focus on 3.
That's what the problem is. What's up, Javier? You have a question?
3 is 6, so wouldn't it go up 6?
So the y values get multiplied by 3/2. So this y value is 4. 4 times 3/2 is 6. So this dot jumps up to 6. Now these ones are 0, so when you multiply by 0, they stay the same. Did I answer your question? Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the last one. This one's kind of tricky. Is this a stretch or a compression? I want to see if I can get someone new here. What do you think, Micah? Or yeah, Michael, sorry. It's a compression. Why would you say it's a compression?
Because it's below 1.
You're right. But even though she's right, this is below 1, it's not a compression. Do you know why, Micah? Because we take the absolute value of it, right? What's the absolute value of 5? And that is greater than 1. Okay? Now, can I ask you the question? This is from last class. What does a negative on the outside of the parentheses do?
Oh, it makes it go right. Wait, what?
Flips it upside down. So there's actually two transformations here. It's going to get flipped upside down and stretched. Okay?
Wait,
But actually, you don't have to do the work. The math will do it for you. What's my y value?
4. So
What's
you go to
4
the
times
other-
negative 5? Okay, I can't even find that. It's off my chart. So let's just pretend that's negative 20. Okay? What's negative 5 times 0?
0. That one.
Okay, it got flipped upside down because of the negative, but the 5 stretched it, right?
Mr. Baby, can I run to get a water?
Sure. Sign up. take
Don't
it.
go too fast.
Okay, so that's vertical stretches and compressions. Huh? Okay.
Want to get it? And some guy was like, "Can you put that in?" I was like, "I don't want that."
Okay. Here we go. Now notice the way this is written is a little bit different. Notice my A is inside of the parentheses now, right?
Wait, there's been an A.
Now when the A is inside of your parentheses, it's a horizontal stretch and compression. Okay? It's a horizontal stretch and compression. It's also the opposite. You guys remember how with when on the last one when A was greater than 1 it stretched it? Well, guess what? With horizontals, when A is greater than 1 it actually compresses it. Okay? And whenever A is less than 1, absolute value of A, then that's a stretch. Okay? So for instance, that would be a horizontal compression. Whereas this would be a horizontal stretch. Okay? Now, remember how we wrote something out over here last time? What was it? Multiply your y values by A. Guess what I'm going to write this time?
By X.
That's a good guess. Multiply your x values by A, but it's actually going to be a little different. You know what it is?
What's that?
Divide
Oh.
the x values by A. Divide the x values by A. So that's what you want to write there.
That's weird.
You sure you want to do that, John? Should be taking notes with us. Still checked out.
We should put like the Twitter chat people over there and then just keep it up.
I'm not even talking. I didn't know you're not even paying attention to what you did until we go.
One day.
All right.
Yeah, one day.
Are you guys ready? Shall I delete?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. Find example 2 on your notes. F of 2x. Now, first of all, question. Hands up. Stretch or compression? Yes, Chris. It is a compression. Nice job. What kind of a compression is it? Very good. Chris, what's your last name? Thank you. All right, it's a horizontal compression. So when I'm all done, I would expect this graph to look like it's been squished, like sideways.
Will it make it taller and narrow?
It doesn't make it taller. Remember, that's a vertical thing, right? It's just going to make it, it should end up looking something like, it should look skinnier,
So it's gonna look
Oh,
snatched.
if you want to call it that. All right. Now, let's do the next one. This one, huh? Oh, I'm not graphing it yet. I'm just talking, and you're listening, hopefully. Now, I'm multiplying this one by 0.3. Now, the absolute value of 0.3 is what compared to negative 1?
This
I'm
one's
sorry.
gonna look thick.
Compared to 1.
Small. It's negative because small.
Is it less than or greater than?
Less than?
It's less than. And whenever that number is less than 1, what does that do?
Make it
It
thick.
stretches it.
It's gonna look thick.
So this one's going to look thick. Okay, stretched, right? So this one would probably look something like this.
Oh.
Notice it didn't get taller, it got fatter. Okay?
That's not probably not very a wise place to be.
Thank you. All right, let's do this. Now we're going to actually get the graph, right? Now last time we multiplied the y values by the a. What am I going to do this time? Divide the x values by the a, right? So, here we go. I'm going to call on you for this, so
Oh my god.
be ready.
Please don't.
Kayla, what is my x value here? No, that's the y value. I want the x value. The x value is 3. So I'm going to write 3 there. And you guys told me we're going to divide our x values by 2, right? So can you guys get out your calculators right now and do 3 divided by 2 and tell me what you get? What is 3 divided by 2? 1.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this point and I'm going to change it from being at 3 and I'm going to slide it over to 1.5.
Wait, did you go? Okay. I'm sorry, it's just a really fat circle and I thought it wasn't.
Put your dot at 1.5. Don't let me lose you. Now let's do the next one. I'm going to call on you. Ready? Natalie, what's my x value here? 1. Javier, what am I going to divide x by? 2. All right, so what's 1 divided by 2, Javier? 1 divided, not 2 divided by 1. What's 1 divided by 2? If you want to use your calculators, you can. What? 0.5. Can you guys find where 0.5 would be?
Way next to the line.
Just squish it over a little bit more, right?
Yes.
All right, last one. See if you guys can find where the third dot goes. See if you can find it. I'll give you a second.
Point something.
It is. You're right. No.
Because it's 5 divided by 2 is half of 5.
2.5.
Okay, so my x value is 5. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5, which would be right about here. Connect your 3 dots. Does it look like it's been squished?
Yes.
Yes, that's what we expected to have happen.
This only water.
All right,
Oh man, that's not snatch. That's some squiggly lines.
let's do the next one. Ready? I'm going to need some calculator help here. Yeah, what's up, Javier?
We know we're going to the left because the number and the x are parentheses together.
Oh, yes, good. So we know that it should be, I wouldn't say we're going to the left, but we're squishing to the left, right? Because it's inside the parentheses. Good. And that's a very important observation. If the number's outside, we multiply the y's by that number, right? If it's inside, we divide the x's by that number. Okay, so we have some things to memorize, good things to throw on flashcards maybe.
Move it this way instead of any other part.
Yes. Okay, let's do it again. Ready? All right, so Alexis, what am I going to do to my x's this time? Alexis, tell me what to do to my x's. Huh? Divide? Good. Divide them by what?
1.3.
Yes. Now I'm going to need some calculator help here. So get out your calculators. This x value is 3. Can you guys divide? Can you guys divide 3 by 0.3? Push 3 on your calculators. Push
10.
divided by 0.3. What is it? 10. It's 10? Okay. So this dot's going to slide all the way over to 10, which is a little bit off my chart.
On the next one. 2.
It feels weird, doesn't it? I'll explain why you feel weird in a minute, but right now just follow me. Yes, it is. I will explain it in just a minute, but for now just follow me. Ready?
You're gonna get the 3 in the decimal in the 10th place and you're gonna get
Yes. All right, here we go. What's my x value here, guys?
5.
Okay, do 5 divided by 0.3. What do we get? 16?
16.6.
Oh, 16.66. Okay, so I'm just going to guesstimate, okay? I'm just going to guesstimate. I don't know. It's off my chart. Okay, you guys try to do this last one. Find your x value divided by 0.3 and see if you can plot your dot. Go.
Where does it go?
This is like, oh.
That's for you to find out. So, but I'll say the steps again.
That's for me to know and for you to know.
Find your x value,
I
right?
thought I'm gonna go into the other one.
Find your, what's your x value?
10?
What's this x value?
Doesn't cause me I didn't do the right.
Now divide it by 0.3. Do it on your calculator. 1 divided by 0.3. And then plot your dot.
Wait, 1 divided by 3, it's gonna be 3.
0.3.
It's gonna be
No?
0.3.
Try it. 1 divided by 0.3.
So we're pretty much all
I don't
we're
have
doing is
a
multiplying the point
Huh?
by the numbers in the parentheses.
Yeah.
One
But what's
time-
important is you got to remember
Divided
when it's
by.
in the parentheses,
Not
you
times
divide
by.
the x's. Outside the parentheses, multiply the y's.
So you've been yelling at me.
0.333333333.
What did you say, Hannah?
0.333.
Really? I think you did it backwards.
No, you put you have to put your decimal point.
I put the decimal point.
Connect your dots. That's a horizontal stretch.
You just deleted it. Now it's 3.333.
Okay, so there you guys go. That's
Oh,
horizontal
where did that
stretches and
go?
compression. Okay, now Danielle and I think Henry, they were feeling weird. They're thinking, wait a minute, if you divide
What the
If you
heck?
divide 3 by 0.3,
No,
shouldn't
yeah.
it get smaller? Why did it get bigger? Because you're thinking backwards. 3 divided by 0.3, right? That's what we're thinking about. Well, 0.3 is smaller than 3, right? How many 0.3s are there inside of 3? Well, there's about 3.3s.
12.
Oh, 3 times 3 is 9.
So it's small. Here's an easier example. How about 3 divided by a half? Let's do something easy.
By what basically 0.5.
So let me ask you, how many halves are there inside of 3?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There's 6, right? You guys see we have 3?
It's 1.5.
How many halves are there?
6.
So in the same way, if you divide 3 by something, a fraction, you're going to end up with a lot of them.
Oh.
Okay? Yeah. Okay, so your guys' turn.
I don't know.
We're what? What's the verb?
Divide.
Dividing the what? X's by what?
A.
Which in this case is 5, and in this case is 1/5. So here, if you guys want to change these to decimals in the beginning, you can. Might make it easier. 1/5 is 1 divided by 5.
This hurts my eyes.
Might help. But anyway, go ahead. Show me what you got. All right. If I could have everybody's attention, please.
Oh.
Henry.
I realized what it, yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
So this was a hard one. What I do when I come around and I look at my students, and if I see 4 out of 5 people get it, I move on. Okay, but I didn't see that anywhere near that actually. So we probably need to work on this a little bit more. So what we're going to do is we're going to try this again. We'll do a little more practice. But what we need to stop doing is like the shout outs and stuff, because right now you guys are very like squirrel kind of situation. And so because of that, you're not getting it. So try to give me your full attention. We'll try one more time on this. I can only go through it one more time with you, okay? After that, we gotta bail on. All right. So I'm not gonna do the third half of today's notes. We'll push that off maybe to another day. But for now, we're gonna try this one again, okay? But so you guys did pretty good with the Y's. You guys did good with the last one. Let's go into this. So let's walk through it here. For this one, I'm going to do this example, and then we're going to do like some guided practices afterwards. All right, so what you do with these is, first of all, it's inside the parentheses, right? So that tells me we're going to do it, the little note we had written down earlier, which is divide the x's by that number, right? So I'm going to divide my x's by 5. This x is 5. So if I divide 5 by 5, what do I get? 1. Now this is the thing that maybe I wasn't too clear on teaching. Ready? People that know where to put it. They know the answer is 1, but where do they put it? I had a lot of people putting it here. We're talking about horizontal transformations, right? You're going to slide that dot horizontally to 1. Okay? This x value is 5. Divided by 5 is 1.
Of course I did it wrong.
This x value is 0. Well, 0 divided by 5 is still 0, so this one, once again, doesn't move. And sure enough, we have a horizontal compression.
That makes so much more sense now.
So I needed to say sliding horizontally.
Good job.
That was a big aha for Levy, so I'm sorry I didn't say it the first time, but now we know. Let's do another one. Now this next one, we're dividing our x values by 1/5. Okay, so what's my x value here?
5.
It's 5. So I'm going to divide 5 by 1/5. Now, on your calculator or by hand, whatever it is, what is it? Anybody? No? Well, this is 0.2, but 5 divided by it is.
25.
You should have gotten 25. Oh, actually, this was -5, right? So it's -25. So what? So now, where do I put the -25? I'm going to slide which way? Horizontally, way out to wherever 25 would be.
That's okay. Never mind.
Okay. What's this x value? What's 5 divided by 1/5? Positive 25. So which way am I going to slide? That way. What's 0 divided by 1/5? Still 0, so it doesn't move. Connect your dots, and you get this super wide shape because we've.
That looks so cool.
That's a major stretch, is what that is.
I want to draw one.
All right. So I want to throw some more at you here. All right. This one though, you're going to have to draw by hand because I didn't print this for you. So I'm going to make up a problem for you guys. Ready? So we're going to do a guided practice, which means we're kind of going to go through it step by step together as a class, and then I'm going to let you do one more on your own, and that'll end our day. So here we go. Everybody draw this graph. Let's just let's do another V shape, but this time we'll make it.
Where?
Let's do it like over 2. Well, let's do over 4 up 3. Over 4 up 3. So this point is -4, 3, and this one's 4, 3. Okay. So let's do it.
What is this, Mad Libs?
It is like Mad Libs, isn't it? So here's the. I'm gonna call on you guys in a minute, and I want you to tell me to fill in these blanks. To do these problems, I'm going to blank the blanks by blank. Okay, so think about what goes in those blanks. I'm gonna call on you just a second. Yes.
Pick up the number.
I'm gonna use my cards, but I hope you have the right answer. If they don't, I'll come to you. Okay.
Oh no, me too. I want one. Oh wait, you get one?
I want my MTV.
I don't like.
You know that song?
Should I look it up?
Oh, you guys know that song? Okay.
When you say because,
Do you guys have the blanks filled in?
yeah.
You want to check your answer with a neighbor? Better do it. I'm gonna call you in about 30 seconds.
Oh my god, I didn't even.
I'm not asking for the whole problem. I just want to know what goes in the blanks. What goes in the blanks?
What goes in the blank?
Great. I just want to know what goes in the blanks.
Solve.
When I stretch the number to get the number. Wait. Give me the noun. Oh, a number's not a noun. A number can be a person.
What?
It's multiple.
This is number 7. He thinks next
All
door.
right, Danielle, throw in some blanks for me. I'm going to. Okay, that's all right. John does. John,
I got you. I'm going to divide.
divide.
Going to snatch.
Well, yeah, but I'm just gonna. You're right, but I'm gonna call them the x's by 2. I'm going to divide the x's by 2.
Do I write that down?
Now here's my next question. I need an answer to this. How do we know that? How do we know that? How do we know we're going to divide the x's by 2? Don't shout. Take a second. Think about it. I'm gonna use my cards. How do we know we're going to divide the x's by 2? Yes.
Going to snatch.
You ready, Heidi? How do we know we're going to divide the x's by 2? Beautiful. Because the 2 is inside the parentheses. If the 2 is outside the parentheses, I would be multiplying the y's by 2. All right? All right, so we got that. Now, here's our next step. I want you guys to divide all 3 x's. There's 3 of them up here, right? I want you to divide all 3 of your x's by 2, just like we said we're going to do. So go ahead. Divide all 3 x's by 2.
How do you divide -4 and 3 by 2?
X's by 2. 3 is not an x.
I got you.
You fool me? Oh,
Can you say that?
don't you do it. Did you finish it?
Yeah, I finished it. You want to see it?
In a minute. Or maybe 3 minutes.
Hey, Miss Lee, you wanna?
I'm gonna call somebody. Nathaniel,
Yes.
did you divide all 3 of your x's by 2?
Yes.
What'd you get?
For the -4, 3, it would be like -0.6667, something like that.
No. What'd you get?
-3.
No.
Oh, yeah, -2.
Okay, good. So, if you divide -4 by 2, you get
Oh, wait.
-2. If you divide 4 by 2, you get 2. If you
Okay.
divide 0 by 2,
I,
you get 0.
Okay, I see what I did wrong.
All right. Last thing I'm going to ask you guys to do.
Oh my goodness.
You got to put your dots on there.
Oh, I did that.
Remember, we're sliding them which way?
Towards the y-axis.
Horizontally?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see it.
You do? I want to know way.
Yeah.
It's not really.
Do you guys know how unbelievably rude it is to get to pack up line in the middle of teaching?
Well, you better look at this. I just figured out.
Trying to educate you kids. Get your future. You walk out on me like this. I'll see you guys later.
I really didn't point to. That's one of my